Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the We Run on Coffee podcast. I'm Marissa.
And I'm Arika.
And I'm so excited to catch up because I feel like I've been doing things these past couple of weeks.
I've been busy.
The springtime hit, the summertime hit, and it was like,
yeah,
I got out of the house for once and it was kind of crazy.
I was editing one of our last episodes and we said, maybe we should get out of the house more. And we did. We literally did.
Maybe just for now. Maybe we'll become
see.
We'll regret again. Who knows? But what are you drinking today, Arika?
Okay, switched it up for you guys, just barely. But I made an iced breve today. Okay. I hadn't done that before, but I tried it a couple days ago and it was literally incredible. So today I have a brown sugar and honey mocha iced breve. And it is so freaking flames. And that's about it.
Have
you
gotten back to making good home coffees?
Yes, actually. Like, as soon as I started making breves, done. Easy. Like, it was the lattes I was having problems with. It's because, okay, so, you do know, because you worked at Starbucks, so I feel like you would know, that a latte, it's like most places you're getting a latte, you're really getting so much milk. I don't want that much milk. And then if you don't put that much milk, though, then you have, like, it just tastes different. So then when we got half and half to make breves, I was like, this is perfect because we only do equal parts. So we don't put that much cream in, but it just tastes way better. I don't know. So now I'm back. And I'm also drinking water. I'm double fisting this morning.
Me too. I have my little latte, but I've been going through creamer like pretty quickly because I've been making just like at-home coffees recently. So I have a hazelnut creamer now, like just a classic hazelnut. Love. And I always forget how good just hazelnut is.
So good.
It's so good. And you always just forget because it's like, I remember this is my evolution of a hazelnut creamer.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
My grandma was staying with us for a little bit one time, and it was like over the summer or something, and she brought, like, she would always make her coffee, and she just had like the hazelnut creamer there. Aww. And I was like, oh, like can I try that, Grandma? And she was like, yeah, of course. So I tried it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Funny. And it just like reminds me of like grandparents getting like the classic, the classic like original creamer from Coffee Mate, or like the hazelnut one.
Coffee Mate is a staple.
Yeah, of our grandparents.
Yes, it's so true. Have you ever had the powder? Really the powder creamer?
My mom used to have that like in a cupboard, and it was like really old. It's because it's like the most shelf stable thing. But
I do not like that.
Yeah, it was just the original one, and I feel like sometimes it doesn't incorporate well, especially in iced drinks if you are an iced coffee girly.
I just got flashbacks to it because I remember I bought it in college. I didn't even know about powder creamer, okay? But in college, because I grew up in a family that didn't, like, my parents don't drink coffee. They've never drank coffee. So we just never had coffee. So in college, I tried coffee, and I was like, ooh, fun.
What is this?
Yeah. So then I was, like, exploring the creamers or whatever, and I saw one on the shelf, and I was like, why isn't this in the fridge section? And then I looked at it, and I was like, I don't know, I guess I can get it. I didn't even know it was going to be powder. And then I tried it, and I was like, this is not good. It was just, like, clumpy white chunks. Oh, yeah. I didn't like it, but...
It's a little hydrophobic unless it's a warm water or a warm liquid.
And I used to drink Keurig coffee too in college, and that also triggers me now. Like, I just have flashbacks to like my early coffee exploration days.
Yeah. I used to have a Keurig too. I still have 2 coffee makers. I still have my like Ninja coffee, whatever. And I leave it just in case like we do have guests because it can make like a full carafe of coffee.
Oh, that's nice.
And like, that'd be like really nice to make if we have like a bunch of guests. I can just make the carafe
and then pot, yeah,
instead of making everybody like individual Nespressos, like lattes.
It's so
stuff.
True.
But it's good. I like my hazelnut creamer. I like feeling like a grandma sometimes. But I do also have water too.
Yeah, I gotta have the water. We drank yesterday, so I gotta hydrate up.
Yeah. Are you feeling okay this morning?
Yeah, honestly, I feel fine. I was telling Angela, I was like, I don't know, I had 3 drinks. That's a lot for me. Like, I'm going to be feeling it. And then he was like, babe, you had 3 drinks between 1 p.m. and 10 p.m.
Yeah, you're fine.
And I was like, oh, you're right. Thank God. Because I was really worried. I was like, I'm not going to feel well. And then he said that. I was like, oh, great point. I'm going to be fine.
Yeah, if you had 3 drinks like after like 7 p.m., maybe you would feel a little different. But
thank God. Because we hosted yesterday, which I'll talk about in the catch up. And I was just like running around all night. So I just like had a drink when I did. But it was very spaced out, which is good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, you might as well just go into your catch up now because I feel like it's time.
I have so
and I'll let
many
you go
things.
first.
Okay.
I'm pulling up my calendar so I know.
Literally, I did
happening.
that this morning. I was like, I have so much. So the first thing is, last time that Marissa and I podcasted, you guys were hearing me say that I had people in my house and I had to go tend to the people in my house. I did. I did tend to the people in my house, and we planned our trip to Minnesota. So I'm excited to share that we'll be going to Minnesota this year, and it's going to be cool because it's me and Angelo and Angelo's dad, and then all his siblings. So Vernita, Amelia, Dominic, and then Vernita's girlfriend, Lauren. I'm closing my eyes while I tell this to Marissa because I was remembering everybody. But it's the first time that that group of people specifically has like done a trip together. So with me and Lauren and whatever. So it'll be really fun. And we're going for a wedding, not just randomly going to Minnesota.
So cute.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. And yeah, that's that. Okay, Angelo had a date night, and I had to tell you about it because I thought of you while we were there. It was so cute.
Okay.
So he planned a surprise date, and he was so worried about it, and I did not understand why, but whatever. So we went out on a Friday night, and we went to the North Market in Columbus. So we got hot chicken takeover for dinner, my favorite, so good. And right when we walked in, I was like, oh, babe, like, I wish you told me to bring my Lactaid, like it has like buffalo sauce on it or whatever. I don't know, or the breading. And he's like, no, babe, it's dairy free. Like I looked up the whole allergen menu before we got here. And I was like, stop, that's so cute. Thank you. He's like, yeah, I looked up the allergen menu and all the chicken's dairy free. And I was like, what? So that was amazing. And then after that, we started walking, and I was like, where are we going? And he's like, LOL, wouldn't you like to know? We just keep walking. And then we end up walking in to Howl at the Moon Piano Bar. And it made me think of you. I was like, wait a second. So it wasn't like, there's another one here that's like dueling pianos. It wasn't that. It was Howl at the Moon, and they had one piano and a whole band, and they just do live music.
Yeah.
So this was like the special event. And was yours specifically a Howl at the Moon that you went to? Okay, cool. That's what I thought. Yeah. So we went to Howl at the Moon, and they were doing a special thing. Okay, I'm gonna try to explain this, but on their website they do like giveaways of parties. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but they just do it for free. So you put in your name and email, and then if you win, they'll email you and say, you want a party. How many people do you want to bring? You can put in whatever you want. And then you pick a day and you pick how many people you want to bring with you, and they give you tickets, and you get $1 drinks with the tickets. Yeah. Like I think it was 2 or 3 per person. And then they also have deals on drinks. So even if you use all your tickets, it was like $5 margarita night or whatever. So we went on Cinco de Mayo. So it was margarita night.
Yeah.
So that was cute. And then, or no, it wasn't Cinco de Mayo, but it was that weekend. But anyways, we went on that day. And when we walked in and we like got our stuff, we sat down, and Angela was like, I'm really freaking out. Like, I feel like this flopped. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I invited Vernita and Lauren to meet us here, and we were going to surprise you. And then they were busy. And then I invited our friends Kyle and Cheyenne to come, and they were supposed to come, but then Kyle got mono and nobody could come. And I couldn't think of anyone else. And I wanted to invite Kyle and Marissa, but they don't live here. And I was like, babe, it's not a flop. So I only ended up having one drink, because then we were like, honestly, like it would have been a little more fun, I think, if we were in a group, because it was really dead. It was a little bit early, and it's just like, okay, we're just sitting here. But I just had a drink, and then we went and we got Wit's ice cream after, which was fire.
I miss Wit's so much.
They have the best dairy-free vanilla, and then I get Reese's cups and extra peanut butter sauce and extra chocolate sauce. Oh my god, I die. So yeah, that was our date night, and it was so cute. But I was thinking of you when we walked into Howl at the Moon. I was like, no way. It was so cute. Maybe I'll try to. So anyways, while we were there, I signed up for the giveaway, and I won it. So now we have another party to use. And so I was gonna say, we should go while you guys are here, or we should sign up again. That would be so fun.
We should.
And my friends Kyle and Marissa, or that's you, Kyle and Cheyenne. There's so many Kyles. Our other friends Kyle and Cheyenne, they wanted to go so bad, but he got sick. So I was like, we have to do it again so they can come.
Yeah. Oh, we should go.
Okay, so moving along. That's only my second update. My third update. Last time Marissa and I recorded, I think I also mentioned this, that my friend Taylor came to town, and we packed her freaking U-Haul, and it was crazy. And they like dropped off the shipping container. We packed it up, and then we locked it, and they came and picked it up the next day, and it's all gone. So she is officially moved out of Ohio. Girl ain't coming back.
Crazy.
I said it was really weird when she left, because she usually is like, oh, I'll be back in May to get my things, or I'll be back in December for Christmas, whatever. She has no time.
Doesn't know
she doesn't know the next time. So I was like, this is official. And also while she was here, she was saying like she was ready to go home to California. She's like, I really miss it. And I was like, dude, that's good. That means you like love it, because at first she was like not really sure. So that was cool. And Yeah, we have a cute picture of me and Angela and her standing in front of the U-Haul. It's so cute.
Aww.
So that was fun.
Did she drive it back?
No, they shipped it. She flew, and then I don't know how they do it, but like they dropped off the crate, we filled it and locked it, and then told them that we left it where it was, and then the people from U-Haul came back and got it. I don't know, we weren't there when they did it, but they came back and got it with their truck. I don't know if they like drive it, fly it. I don't know what they do with it. So I guess we'll see how bad her like stuff's all moved when she gets there, because it was like a big crate and she didn't have that much stuff, so there was just like a small layer of probably like 2 totes high of a layer across the bottom of it.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see if it gets shook up. I don't know. The other update is so fun. Okay, so Julie, Angela's mom, invited all of us, Angela's siblings, to go to Dave & Buster's as an end of semester like break. She's like, everyone come to Dave & Buster's, and she gave us all like $20 each to put on our cards, which was so cute. And then she's like, all right, go play games. So we went, we got appetizers, and we started playing games, and we came across these like, you know, the quarter games where you shoot the quarters and then it pushes all the other quarters. Okay, so we started trying to play these quarter games with the swipes, and then we started playing this, I don't know if I want to call it out. I don't know. I don't want people to go steal my game. Okay, there's a Spider-Man quarter game, and it has all the quarters laying on the thing like normal, but it also has bouncy balls in it, small ones and big ones. And when you knock the bouncy balls off the edge, they do special things. So we were playing this quarter game, and I was just going random, but I was winning like 500 tickets, like a lot of tickets. So I was like, wait, this is fun. So then I just kept playing it because I was like, why not? It's a good return on my investment here. I'm getting a lot of tickets. Yeah. So I stayed playing it, and then Angela was watching, and he kind of figured out how the game worked. He's like, oh, if you get a big ball, it does this. If you get a small ball, it does this. If you shoot into the 3 things and make them all blue, it does this. So then we learned how to play. And then we just stayed at this machine like all night playing this one machine. And Dominic played it, and he won what was called Super Spin. And there's like a thing on the top that says so like crazy. Today's biggest jackpot you can win from this game is 1,000 tickets. And it says that right at the top. And it's like, that's the most you could make from one single play or whatever. So Dominic lands on the super spin. So this big thing, like it's like a machine, like it comes out, it goes and it comes in front of his face.
That is
and then
crazy.
He gets to hit the stop button, and he hits stop, and it lands on freaking jackpot. So he got over 1,000 tickets because he got 1,000 for the spin and all the tickets from actually playing the game. And it was freaking insane. So we just stayed on this freaking Spider-Man like quarter machine all night. And then we got on our phones. Everyone started getting an Amber Alert. So we pick up our phones, and it's not an Amber Alert. It's the National Weather Service. And there's literally a tornado, like spotted, real tornado. So we were like, we're just trying to play the quarter game. Yeah. So Angela got on his phone. Julie called Oma because it was like near where she was. And we just kept playing the quarter game, me and the kids, because I was like, might as well keep them busy. Angela's watching his thing. He's like, okay, like, I think we should stay here for sure. Like, we can't leave right now. So we're playing the quarter game. And then eventually Angela's like, okay, I think there's going to be a break between Tornadoes Part 1 and Tornadoes Part 2, which are on the way, that we should leave. So we finally finished playing the game, and Angela comes up, and he's like, we got to go now. And I was like, what do you mean now? And he's like, now. We run outside to the car. It's pouring rain. We get in the car. He's like, we gotta go. He literally rips it out of there. He's like looking at the intersection. There's no cars, but it's red. He goes anyway. He's like, we have to get home. And I was like, oh shit, this is when I know it's serious.
Yeah.
So we're just flying home. Like, we got home so fast, parked, went in the house, and then literally minutes, maybe seconds after we get in the house, you hear it outside just goes whoosh, and just starts pouring rain, like dumping. And the second storm hit. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he got us home in time. So anyways, that was crazy. The tornado, what is it? Like, I don't remember watch or warning, but the one where there actually was a tornado.
Yeah.
It was that one. And it just ended like a few minutes after we got home. So we didn't have to go in the basement, and we got to go to bed, and it was normal, but it was so scary. I was like, what a rush. So anyways, all that to say, we did not redeem our tickets at Dave & Buster's. So now I'm like, bro, I want to go back and play the freaking quarter game all night and get more tickets.
All of your tickets.
Yes. I was like, also Wednesdays are half price games, and I'm just addicted. We don't live far from a Dave & Buster's. So I'm like, I'm serious.
We don't
like,
either.
Let's go. Yeah. I'm like, let's go again. It's so fun.
That's so fun.
That's my Dave & Buster's update, and now I have 2 more. Okay. This is gonna be a long catch up. So other thing that we did yesterday was Lauren's graduation.
Yes.
Me and Marissa were talking about this before, but it was so fun. Lauren graduated college. It was so cute. I took over 1,000 pictures at her graduation.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I couldn't believe it. I just followed her around with a camera and like took pictures of all her friends and her walking across the stage, the whole thing. And by the time I got home and started moving them, I had like 1,200 photos. I was like, holy crap. So
too many.
It was a lot of pictures, but I just sent them all. I was like, have fun with those. It was fun. And then after her graduation, we went outside and like did the pictures, the whole thing with her family. We met her family, and then everybody came to mine and Angela's house. Her parents, her siblings, Angela's parents, mom and dad, and all of his siblings all came to our house. Thank God it stopped raining like 2 hours before, because if we all had to fit inside my house, wouldn't have worked.
That would have been so much.
Wouldn't have worked. Yeah, it was 12 people. So we had a cookout. We did cornhole, grilled, had drinks. Oh my God, they brought so many. Like every person brought at least 1 to 2 cases of drinks. Yeah, so many drinks.
Just because there was gonna be so many people there, they're like, we want to have enough, but then it's so many. Oh my God,
it was too many. Yeah, and we sent everyone home with like at least another 2 cases. But it was so fun, and so her family like hung out here until like 5, I want to say, and then they drove back to Cleveland that day. And then we all stayed up until like seriously 10 or 11 just playing games. And then we would try to see the Northern Lights. Oh my God, I forgot about the Northern Lights. Okay.
Did you see them again last night?
No, we didn't, sadly, because Grace and Lauren wanted to try to see them because they didn't see them the first night. But anyway, this past weekend in Ohio, we actually got to see the Northern freaking Lights. I couldn't believe it. But they were talking about this like geomagnetic storm. I hope I'm saying that right. That caused it to be really, really strong and go as far south as Alabama, I heard, which is
my
insane.
friend in Georgia saw them.
That is so cool.
But I didn't because it was so cloudy.
I know,
here.
that is so sad. Me and Angela, we went outside to look around in the backyard. I'm like, we'll just try to see it on Friday night. And we didn't really see anything. We're like, maybe it has a pink tint. I don't know. Went back in the house and Angela was like, I don't know if we should go drive somewhere like out of the city. Yeah. And then I saw on Instagram this girl who lives in Cincinnati. She posted a picture and it was incredible, like pink and red and so cool. So I showed Angela and he's like, oh my God, like she lives in Cincy. I said yes. He's like, okay, I really think we should go try to see it. If it's real and I see that someone else can see it in Ohio, like we should go.
Yeah.
So we went outside and we were about to drive like a half hour out of the city towards Dayton. And as soon as we walked outside, Angelo's getting in the car. His leg is like in the door and I'm going to get in the passenger seat. And I look up and I was like, oh, Angelo. I was like, Angelo, the Northern Lights. I pull out my phone. And this is the thing that we were telling everybody is even if you saw the faintest little discoloration, to put your phone to the sky because the exposure on your phone can get it so much better. So I pointed my phone up and I was like, holy crap. And you could see like the green and the blue and it looked like the Northern Lights, like it was. So then we only drove like 5 minutes to this like big empty parking lot where there was just like no street lights on, and took a bunch of pictures and it was so freaking cool. Aww. And you guys, that's in tune with our next episode, but that was something on my vision board this year and I was shocked. Yay. I never thought. I was like, oh, maybe we'll make it to Canada to see them, but I'm not sure. Boom, in my yard. I could not believe it. So that's my Northern Lights update. I'm so out of breath. I feel like there's so many updates. But my last very short quick update, also very topical this morning, is that I started 5K training. Yay. And I was cracking up because I started tagging Marissa in my workouts on Strava. I'm like, at Marissa, look what I did today. But I think I've run once since I did my Couch to 5K journey last year. If you guys are like OG listeners and you remember me talking about that, I did Couch to 5K last year, and then I did like a 5K distance, and then I never wanted to run again, so I gave up. And then I think I've run once since then just to like see if I could still do it. So me and Angela started training and now we've run twice. So I had a 13-minute mile, which I was like, okay, that's
not terrible.
Fine.
Not
like
terrible. It's
it
a good
could be
one
worse.
Back.
Yeah, I was like, that's my first one. It's okay. And then we were supposed to run a mile again, but we were really busy that day. So Angela's like, let's just do a half mile. Like that'll take less than 10 minutes. So we go to do a half mile, and in my brain, I told myself, just try really hard. But I didn't tell Angela because, like you guys know, I can't handle the outside pressure. So I was like, I don't know, we're just gonna try really hard. So I put on my Taylor Swift EDM remix. I'm like blasting it. And I'm like, all right, let's go, babe. Hit start. And we start running. And by the end, I was really out of breath. But I ran it in 5 minutes. And I was so proud. Wow. So we're working on it. We have to run today after this, sadly. So yeah,
you can do it.
That's the update. And that's everything I actually have. So you can go now that I've been talking for this whole time. Phew.
That's okay.
We've been busy.
I feel like I have a couple of things, but not too many. So when we last recorded, I said that I was looking forward to the virtual bridal shower that I was going to. And I went, and it was really cool. And I I didn't really talk that much because I was just like listening. I just kind of wanted to sit there. But we did a little painting project. I showed Arika a picture of my painting.
It was so cute.
And I did okay. I think it's kind of cute.
No,
Maybe
I'll
put
it
it up.
I showed it to Angelo and he was like, what? That's so cute. I was like, I know. I'm not good at painting too. So I was like, that is adorable. I'm like obsessed.
I have it sitting right here.
Love. That's so cute.
I might put it up like where I record.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just have it like sitting behind my camera right now.
Love.
And it's pretty cute. It's like a little sunflower and I liked it. Arika was saying that she's like bad at painting and coloring and that's the only things like artistically I've ever been okay at.
That's
so it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was nice to see like her friend. And there was somebody on the call and they were like, oh, like you guys live really close to each other. And I was like, what? And one of like the girls like that's getting married, her friend lives like 20 minutes from here.
No way.
And so we started like texting and we actually do volleyball at the same place.
What the
and
heck?
She runs and so do I. And
crazy.
so she was like, I think that we should become best friends. And I was like, honestly, sure.
Wait, that's awesome.
It was really cool.
That's
she
so
just
cool.
moved here like last fall, so she hasn't been here that long.
No way. This is our initiative and month for female friendships because my friend Cheyenne that I was just talking about, Cheyenne and Kyle, that were supposed to go on our date with us. We were best friends freshman year of college. I don't know if you've met her, but I know you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But anyways, we were best friends freshman year of college all the way through college. And then after college, me and Angela like moved to our own apartment and we just kind of like didn't talk as much. Well, really at all until recently. She just started texting me again because her Kyle that she's dating that I keep talking about is Angelo's like best friend at work. They're like best buds at work. So now we've been talking a lot more and I'm like, oh my God, I really need friends. Like I was like, this is so nice. Like, because I really don't have a lot of friends. My friend Taylor moved to LA. My friend Cree from growing up does not live near me, like an hour and a half away. Everyone doesn't live here anymore. You moved. I'm like, who am I supposed to hang out with? So I just got to say, this is our female friendship month, apparently. New friends.
Aww. Yeah.
And old.
We haven't met each other like in person yet.
That's
but
so cool.
She keeps like asking if I'm going to volleyball and I'm just a sub on this team. So I haven't been going like that much, but I will probably definitely end up going one of these times.
Oh my gosh, you have to let us know how it goes. That's cute.
I will. And then my next thing is that last weekend, me and Kyle went to go and see a movie. We went to see Challengers. The movie
Did you
with
like it?
Zendaya. Yeah, it wasn't about tennis.
No. I know. I saw a preview that I was like, oh. Like it was really, really wild. One of the trailers I saw, but it looks good.
Yeah, it was a good movie. It was just not what I was expecting. Like I was definitely expecting like a tennis movie, and it was about tennis. It was just more about relationships rather than tennis. Yeah. And it wasn't the relationships that you would be thinking, I don't think.
Yeah. It looks interesting, to say the least.
But it was fun. And who doesn't love a good movie with Zendaya in it, you know?
Facts.
And then the next day, it was Cinco de Mayo, and I went and had tacos and margs with Owen and Mara, and it was so good. That
was so cute.
So yummy.
Yes.
And we just, like, talked and had some fun and drank some margs, and it was so fun. And then what else did I do? Oh, Kyle got really sick, actually.
Shoot.
So he got sick like last Friday and we didn't know what it was. Like it could have been the flu, it could have been COVID, it could have been whatever. But we took 2 at-home COVID tests and it was negative. He took a flu test and a strep test because he went to the doctor and those were both negative.
Oh.
But he's still like super congested and he's been sick for like almost a week and a half now.
Oh my God.
He had to call off work 2 days. Like he was really sick and he like still has a cough and everything.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it, which is crazy because I always get sick first.
Yeah.
And I didn't get sick.
That is so weird.
I know. And he has like bad allergies, but this isn't allergies. It's definitely like he's sick. And I'm like, I've just been waiting for the ball to drop and for me to get sick, but I haven't yet. And I just know because one of the things I'll talk about next week is we're going to a wedding this week.
No.
And I know I'm going to come back and get sick after.
Always after traveling too.
I know.
That sucks.
But, yeah.
Feel better soon,
though.
Kyle. That's sad.
I know. So sad, but he'll be okay. He's starting to get better.
He's on the up.
Definitely still like exhausted and coughing and like sniffling a
Dang,
bunch,
that sucks.
I know, but he'll be okay. He's definitely doing a lot better than he was earlier in the week. He got like a fever and everything and he never gets a fever.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
That's so crazy. Ugh.
And We still like don't really know what it was. They just said it's probably like some sort of viral upper respiratory infection, and I'm like, that's like the catch-all like thing to say, but it's okay.
Wow.
And then yesterday, Kyle and I drove to the Shenandoah Valley, which is just like a little like mountainous area of Virginia. And honestly, we're a lot closer to the mountains than I knew because we only drove about 30 minutes west of where we live, and it was mountains. And
that's
awesome. Knew, like the mountains were close, but like we're so like into the city that you can't see them. So it's really cool to see that we're only about 30 minutes away. But we went because at the half marathon that I ran, I entered a giveaway and I won a free stay somewhere. But it did have a little bit of a catch. So what we did yesterday is we had to go and sit through like a sales presentation for a timeshare at the place that we won the stay at. But we ended up like saying no because we don't want like a timeshare or anything. They tried to give us a really good deal.
Oh, really?
And I was like, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. And we ended up getting out of it. But we ended up also getting a $50 Visa gift card.
Oh, nice.
And we got a secondary extra stay. So we ended up winning a 3-day, 2-night stay.
That's
at this,
nice.
Like location that's in like the Shenandoah Valley.
Yeah.
And then they have sister resorts like all over the US and all over like the world.
Dang.
And so we can go and stay anywhere at one of those for 4 days and 3 nights.
Whoa.
All
is it
for free?
Any time you want, or do they have to pick for you?
It's within a year, so we can pick our time.
That's
but I
cool.
think
you could do a 1-year
like,
wedding thing.
I know. We got like the link sent to us yesterday to book, and it could like you have to book within 60 days, I think, of receiving the link. Yeah. But that's fine.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll end up using the one that's like out of like in a different state or anything, just because one of my friends also won the same kind of giveaway, and hers was a little bit weird with it, and it didn't like let her book it. So I'm like, feel a little bit wary about that one, like, but we'll definitely go back to this resort because it was really beautiful.
Nice. That's really cool.
Yeah, but that's all my catch-ups. I didn't have that many.
I was so busy, dude.
That's okay.
Always. You know it.
I feel like I had more, but then you just kept on going. Not in a bad way. You just kept going, and I was like, that's
rolling.
Great.
We're rolling. I know.
But we can go ahead and get into our topic. I know we're about 30 minutes in, but that's what you get with us.
Rip.
That's okay. So today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. And I know that me and Arika have kind of hinted at this a couple of weeks in a row.
So much. Yeah.
Just kind of talking about it. But we're going to talk about the truth about imposter syndrome. I did a couple like big research topics of like, we'll just like I'll intro like the different categories. So just what imposter syndrome is, the triggers, diagnosis, the likelihood of having imposter syndrome, sharing our own personal experiences, the impact of it, any treatment that you can have, and then tips to overcome it. And then I did use 2 different resources. So the first one I have is like Psychology Today, just an article on imposter syndrome. And then the other one is Mass General Brigham McLean Hospital, like the website. And it's just a guide to overcoming imposter syndrome. And yeah, so that's all that I have so far. So we can go ahead and intro what it is.
Beautiful.
So imposter syndrome, I just put up a definition first. It is a belief that you are undeserving of your achievements in the high esteem in which they are, in fact, generally held. So typically if you have like a big accomplishment or something, just thinking that you weren't good enough to receive that praise or that title or whatever that achievement is. And oftentimes it leaves you feeling like a fraud. And here's a quote from one of these websites. It says, personality traits largely drive imposter syndrome. Those who experience it struggle with self-efficacy, perfectionism, and neuroticism, which is perfectly timed because we've done our personality episodes at this time. And I know that neuroticism was one of the subsections of the Big 5. And then we've talked a lot about perfectionism just here and there throughout the personality series. Competitive environments can also lay the groundwork. For example, many people who go on to develop feelings of imposterism face intense pressure about academic achievements from their parents in childhood. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I did feel this a little bit in my childhood because my brothers weren't very good in school. So my parents kind of laid the groundwork that if I got any C's, I would be grounded. I was like supposed to be an A and B only student. And I feel like that kind of laid like the groundwork, like they said, with like competitive environments, trying to like make yourself better than even the groundwork that was laid for you.
That's really interesting. I feel like that's almost a universal experience. Almost. I would say I definitely felt that, but it wasn't even from my parents. It was from me. Like, I would do it to myself. I'd be like, oh, I have to get like all good grades. I don't know why. I was like, I remember my mom always said, I don't know if you're familiar with Hooked on Phonics, but I asked for Hooked on Phonics for my first birthday. And my mom was like, I don't know. Or my second, I don't know. Maybe my second. And she was like, I don't know if you really need like this whole learning kit for your second birthday. But she was like, crazy. If you can learn to do this and this and that, then I'll get it for you. And I did. And I just, like from the time I was even able to think, I was like wanting to learn stuff. So I don't know if I did that to myself or whatever, but I was always like putting pressure on myself to get good grades when I was younger. And I don't know why that is. So
that's so interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll dive into the triggers, diagnoses, likelihood, that whole thing that Marissa was mentioning. These are all direct quotes as well, so just keep that in mind. But we're going to talk about triggers first. So
yeah, there are a lot of direct quotes, but I felt like it was the best way to get everything across.
It's good. And then it also, like, you guys know that we also can't read everything from these websites, but we're pulling what's most important. And when we read direct quotes, it's like the most likely that we're not going to fuck it up with our own like opinions and like throwing stuff in, which we can throw in, but I think getting the exact quotes for like the definitions is really important actually, so I like it. But anyways, triggers. Okay, here we go. So calling attention to one's success, ironically, can unleash feelings of imposter syndrome. This could occur when receiving an award, passing an exam, or being promoted. That's a big one for me. Failure after a string of successes can also cause someone to critique and question their overall aptitude. So that's a really good definition and speaks exactly on the point we were just making about school.
Yeah,
like
I think
grades.
that was like the best overarching, because I looked through both of these websites trying to find like a good definition, because like we know what imposter syndrome feels like, but it's really hard to verbalize it.
Yeah.
And describe it. And I thought that this was like a good vague definition, because it talks about like, if you tell me I'm successful, I'm going to feel an imposter like situation about it, or like if you give me an award or pass an exam, and like it said all of those different things, it's just like it does give you those feelings of imposterism.
That's so true. And also the word imposterism, I just have to say I've never heard that word ever, but when you read it in that definition, I was like, wait, I kind of like that word.
I know. When I was reading through these articles, I was like, oh, I love that.
It really gets at something that you need to say. It's like the word you needed.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as the diagnosis, this is the quote that we have next. No, imposter syndrome is not an official psychiatric diagnosis in a DSM, which the DSM is that big book, right? Of like all like mental disorders.
It's often referred to as the DSM-5. So it has like the 5 most overarching, like different.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like depression, anxiety, antisocial personality disorder, like those big overarching ones that usually have subcategories.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay, I'm going to run it back so you guys know that's what we're talking about. But no, imposter syndrome is not an official psychiatric diagnosis in the DSM. People with imposter syndrome may struggle with other mental health conditions, such as anxiety or depression, but an individual couldn't be diagnosed as having imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I think that that's important, because a lot of things in like mental health, they'll talk about like compounding factors or compounding symptoms. And I think I'm using the wrong word, but you know what I'm talking about. And it's just like everything kind of like comes together, and like it's an amalgamation of symptoms. And that's what imposter syndrome is.
It's also like, I feel like it's almost like an experience. So it might not be that you have imposter syndrome and that's a part of your DNA, or that's a part of who you are and how you think forever. It's something that can be experienced, I feel like. So I don't know. I think that's a really interesting definition.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this question, when I was reading this before, I was like, okay, I love this question. And then that you put it in here. But this question is, are women affected more? So imposter syndrome was first documented in high-achieving women in the 1970s, you guys. While imposter syndrome is still more prevalent among women, and specifically women of color, men are also susceptible to developing this mindset. Of course they are. Like, that would be silly to think, like, men can't get imposter syndrome. But when it said women in the 1970s, I was like, whoa, that was a while ago, 1970s.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to include this, because like with like that was like the likelihood portion of this, because I was like, this is a little bit like of course everybody can be affected by it, but oftentimes they'll say like, well, women are more likely to feel these like psychiatric disorders and men are more likely to feel these. And I thought that it was super interesting because it points out not only just women, but specifically women of color. And you think about people that have been marginalized in life and thought that they can't do something because of the type of person they are. Yeah. And that's so interesting that it directly correlates to the feeling of imposter syndrome, because it's probably because women and women of color have been told, hey, you can't hold this position. So when they get it, they're like, how did I do this? Like, I can't be successful.
Yeah. Like, you can't vote. You can't have a credit card. You can't own land. So when we get to a point that we can, it's like,
how did I do this? Like, if I've been told my whole life I can't.
Yeah. Do I deserve this? Really is like the question that is for me. But interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And
I agree.
I wanted to put sharing our personal experiences sort of in the middle of this because I thought that it'd be important to share before we go into like the impact and the treatment and how that you can like overcome it. Because if we put that at the end after talking about how to overcome it, I just thought the flow would be a little bit weird.
True.
So I'm going to go first with my personal experience.
Yes.
So I think that my biggest experience is looks a little bit different. So when I graduated college, I never saw it like as an accomplishment. Like, I never thought of it as like the biggest thing that I've ever done. And I know when we were talking about like our confidence episode and thinking about things that we're super proud of ourselves for doing, that was brought up. And I think that kind of does go back to imposter syndrome, because it's like, well, you did graduate college. That is a great big accomplishment, but I never thought of it as such because I was just like, oh, well, I did it. Like I took the steps, I went one by one, and I took one foot in front of the other, and I finished the task.
Right.
But I feel like the imposter syndrome comes in with like not understanding that it is such a big experience.
Yeah, it's always like you can't see it till you're out of it almost. With a lot of things in life, I feel like you have to step back and be like, and look at it as a whole, because like you said, you're just like one foot in front of the other, like I'm just doing it. But when you just do it, you get in the rhythm, and then you kind of forget about not what you're working toward, but how big of a deal it is.
Yeah. And like that was 4 years of my life. That's not a small portion. Like being 24, that's 1/6 of my life that I spent just getting a degree. Yeah. And that's a great big accomplishment. I just never thought of it as such. And like we talked about earlier, just like grades and like elementary school and stuff. And I've definitely grown out of that as I like went into college and stuff.
Same.
Like I stopped caring as much about my grades and like that part of success, but also like I've recently gotten a promotion and like I feel like I am equipped for it, but the entire time that I was waiting to hear back about it, I was like, well, what if I'm not the person for it? And everybody around me was like, you're the only person that's like super qualified for this. You're the only person that we would want in this position. Kyle kept telling me that of course I'm gonna get it, and I was like, there's no way somebody else is gonna get this over me.
Yeah, that it's always work stuff for me. Gotta say. But
I feel like that's how it manifests because we don't have the school to focus on anymore.
That's true.
It goes directly into
the
our
next thing.
Professional lives.
Wow, love that for us. Totally not toxic behavior here.
Okay, your turn.
Yeah, okay. So like I said, mine's always kind of been work stuff usually that I feel like is my imposter syndrome creeping in. So like you guys all know I do YouTube and I do Instagram and stuff, and I think I don't have imposter syndrome about that because I don't have like I'm not super famous or not super following. So for me, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just putting stuff out there, and like some people I know I see it and some people I don't know see it, and I don't get imposter syndrome about that because I feel like I'm at, okay, this is hard to explain, but I feel like for what content I'm creating, I have the right amount of followers to consume that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like if I were to just get 100,000 followers overnight, I think I'd probably get imposter syndrome about that because it would be like, wait, I don't know why all these people follow me. Why would they follow me? I'm not that cool. I'm not that interesting. But I feel like right now I'm just at a place where it's like, it's fun. It's not work yet. So
but I also feel like that in itself is a little bit
probably
imposter syndrome because you're saying that you feel for the content that you're creating.
Yeah,
you have
that's what I deserve.
But at the same time, maybe it's not because I know you put your heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what a good amount. I mean, obviously, we know, like people that have a billion followers are like the most quote unquote famous. But I think that it's interesting that you said that you would have imposter syndrome if you had that many followers. But now you're saying you have the right amount. I'm like, I'm right where I should be, which is silly. But you put your heart and soul into it. So that's, I don't know. I feel like that is a little bit
it's a good
syndrome.
Point. Yeah, it is. It's a good point. And I think this is the other thing that actually might sound kind of weird, but I'll have to say it because just in case anyone else feels like this is, another reason that I think I don't have imposter syndrome as much about that kind of stuff is because I don't make money from it. So my imposter syndrome at work, a lot of times for me, it's like tied to the money of it. So I'm like, oh, I'm making this amount of salary and I'm pretty sure that I make more money than my parents' household, my mom and my stepdad and their 3 kids. I think I alone make more than their household brings in. And that makes me have imposter syndrome because I'm like, why? Like they deserve that because they have kids and they have stuff to do. And it's like, no, you like, I do deserve it because I went to college and I worked really hard and my parents didn't get to go to like college like that. And they have regular entry-level jobs and I have like a salaried position. Like we're in different scenarios, but it just feels so backwards because those are my parents. So I feel like I should always be like doing less or making less than my parents because they're your parents. You just always, I don't know, it's like a way to think. So that's where mine kicks in, is really the money, not in that, only in that aspect, but also in the aspect that I'm like, do I deserve to make this much money for what I do at work? Like I'm doing social media at work.
Which is so crazy because everybody in our generation is undercompensated. Right. And you're probably honestly undercompensated for your own position. Right. But because
it feels like so much.
Yeah. But because of like our life circumstances and such, we feel generally okay compensation wise.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure. Like I feel like I'm in a really good place with how much money I make, but I'm like, but do I deserve to earn that much? Because I'm making social media graphics and like proofreading blog posts and doing XYZ reporting on data. Like, I don't know, it just feels so weird. And then when I meet people, I'm not, you guys know this because I've shared it here. I'm not shy about sharing my salary with people that I talk to in real life if they want to know. So then I meet people and I say my salary and they're like, oh my God, like you're making so much money. And I'm like, oh yeah. Like, do I not deserve to make that much money? You know, it makes you feel some type of way. So anyways, all that to say, like, I think my imposter syndrome is it's ongoing. It's not like I'm over it. So that's really good to bring us into the next part. But mine's sometimes tied to money, I think, which I just realized just now. So I don't know, something to think about.
Yeah, I think that's important, and that's the reason that we do these episodes, because it's stuff that, like, they're words that we throw around all over the place, and we talk about them all the time. And to be honest, the first time that I heard about imposter syndrome, I was a sophomore in college. I didn't know the term, the feeling, the whatever, until I was there. And the person that first brought it to me was my genetics professor in college. And she was standing up there and she was trying to talk about an accomplishment that she had gotten for her research. And she started talking about it, and she had done it with her ex-husband, which is odd, but just another thing that would like add on another layer of imposter syndrome. But she was talking about how she had to present on this project, and she was like, she was getting really nervous and anxious about it, even though she talks like for a living as a professor. And she was like, sorry, like I sometimes like suffer from imposter syndrome, and like I just feel like this isn't right. And I was like, oh my gosh, can we talk more about this? Because I was like, I feel like that sometimes.
Yes, that's so true.
But anyways, we'll move on to the next part, which is the impact of imposter syndrome. So these are 2 more quotes. Employees with imposter syndrome are less likely to engage in career planning and move forward into leadership positions, while being more likely to experience job dissatisfaction and burnout. So I think that this can happen, but I also think that it can be the opposite too. Because I think in my position, like I said, I got a promotion, I moved into a leadership position, but I think that's because I don't feel adequate in my job unless I'm pursuing something where I feel like I'm helping the team. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and that's so funny. And I was smiling as you were reading it, not because what you're reading is funny, but because I was thinking, oh, I do that. 100%. I am the opposite of Marissa, and I'm like, I don't want to move up. I don't want to have employees under me. I don't want to manage people. I just want to do my job and go home. Like, I feel the complete opposite, and it's the same idea, but we're doing opposite actions to like combat it, which is really funny.
Yeah, but I like we've like said in our personality episodes, we're both very very good leaders. Like our personalities make us very good leaders, and I'm the embodiment of that. I'm getting promotions into leadership positions and management positions. Yeah. And Arika's like, I'm okay staying where I'm at, which is totally good.
Leave me down here.
Which is totally good. And I've just never been able to see that. I remember having a conversation with Kyle one time about like something that I had heard somebody saying that they're okay never getting a promotion or never moving up in the company. They would be okay just staying at their entry level position the entire time. And I was like, I think that I would leave the job if I don't progress. For sure. Yeah. And that's because I need the validation that what I'm doing is good enough to move up.
Yeah. And I think that also my interpretation or whatever kind of ties in what I was telling you guys about my YouTube and my all that stuff that I'm always talking about doing content. I think that like to me is most important to me. I'm like, oh, I love to do YouTube. That's my most important thing. So if at work I never move up, I'm cool because I'm making enough money to support me doing YouTube stuff and not making money from that. So I'm like, oh yeah, this amount of money will support my lifestyle of I just work and then I go home from work and then I can do my fun stuff. And so that I think that also kind of ties in where I'm just like, oh yeah, like I don't really want to have more stress at my regular job and then come home and have more stress at my fun stuff. Yeah. I don't know. So that's interesting.
That is definitely something that I struggle with because sometimes things get really stressful at work being like the person that people come to for like advice and stuff. But it's still like it gives me the validation that people want to come to me for advice and not go to somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. That is really true.
It's such a double-edged sword.
It is. I know.
The next quote says, a 2015 study showed that people with imposter syndrome were more likely to struggle with perfectionism and have a lack of confidence in their ability to complete tasks.
Facts on the perfectionism. And we talked about this like in our personality episode recently.
I know. Always. And I think that one, it feels like it's really calling people out. I know. But it's really important to understand too, because like if you're like, why can't I get this done? Like, why don't I feel like this is good enough or whatever? And you look at the final product 1,000 times, it's a really good way to like have a reasoning behind that.
That happens to me a lot too with just anything that I'll do. And I'll be like, Angelo, like this outfit looks so weird. And he's like, dude, you look amazing. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this shoe. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, who cares about your one shoe? Like, yes. Or I'll draw something and I'll mess up a line and then I'll have to like kind of change it and like interpret it into the drawing. And he's like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm like, yeah, but I messed up right there, really tiny. And he's like, and I didn't even notice. So it's all the time. I feel like I have that in that kind of way where someone else will like point out to me like, that's so good. And I'm like, I don't know. I kind of fucked it up. It's like, just say thank you.
Yeah, just say thanks. Yeah. You did good enough.
So wild.
And then the last point for the impact is that it can negatively impact relationships with coworkers and friends. And that's pretty apparent, I think, because if you think about like always being like, oh, my stuff isn't good enough. Why are you telling me that it's good enough if it's not? It's just like, well, can you just be grateful? And I feel like that's the biggest part that I see sometimes. It's like, I do the thing with outfits too with Kyle. I'll be like, does this look good? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. You're lying to me. And then I'll go and change. Yeah. And he's like, why are you saying that to me? And that makes the other person feel bad. Yeah. And like, you're just calling them like a liar for no reason.
It's so true. Or I'll like give a couple options and then Angelo will pick an option. And I'll be like, I think the other one looked better. And he's like, then don't ask me. Like, if you want to really know what I think, I'll tell you what I really think. Yeah. And I see that. Anyways, let's talk about some treatments because apparently we need them. We might need to do some of these things. But if you're out there listening and you feel like, oh my God, I have imposter syndrome but never knew the word for it, welcome. We all have it sometimes. But these are some ways that you can have treatment to kind of help this out. So again, these are all direct quotes. I'm going to try to read them verbatim. So we're going to start with talking about psychotherapy. Excuse me.
She's ready.
Talk therapy can help manage the roots of imposter syndrome. Did you just spill? I was just reading and then I looked up for 1 second. Marissa's like about to crack up.
I was like pouting and trying not to laugh.
Oh my gosh. Okay, she's spewing coffee. Okay. Talk therapy can help manage the roots of imposter syndrome. In therapy, patients can address their reliance on others' opinions for their self-worth. They can reframe. They can they can reframe the negative messages they have received throughout their lives about why they are not smart enough or capable enough. They can reevaluate their motivations for learning. So that's one, psychotherapy, and that's good. And that's kind of what me and Marissa are doing right now. No, I'm not calling this therapy by any means, but I'm just saying, like, talking about the way that we receive negative messages, or give them to ourselves, and like how we can reframe them. I feel like that's huge, and you can do that for free with your friends or family that you like really trust. So
yeah,
that's a good
And I think something that I used to not do is talk about things that made me feel vulnerable.
Same.
And a lot of the episodes that we've done this year is forcing us to be vulnerable, even if it's just with each other. But we know other people listen to this. We know that family listens to this, and I think it's important to have them hear it. And I mean, obviously, I feel like if I was in a room with any of the family, I wouldn't talk about this. But knowing that they can hear it and they can learn more about me from that is really empowering.
Yeah, no, that's so true. That's a really, really good point that I never thought about. And same, I would never just like bring this up. If someone were to ask me, I'd probably like be vulnerable or answer honestly, but otherwise, no. Otherwise, no. So that's a really good point. I think that's actually really cool. And friends too. Anyone who listens just to learn this about us is wow. Cool. Yeah. It's kind of like
we're each other's therapists.
I know we are. Okay, now the next one I'm going to talk about, we are doing right now, just kidding. Group therapy.
Well, a little bit.
Unofficial group therapy. Welcome. Okay, so for group therapy, I'm going to read you guys the quote exactly from the website. Talking in a group setting with other people who experience imposter syndrome can be effective. In a group setting, people who share their secret feelings of shame and deception can feel relieved that they're not alone. They can also provide reality checks for their peers, which is huge.
I think that's exactly what we do.
100%. And it's so, I don't know about you, but even recently there's like, I talk to my therapist when I talk to my therapist, and then she'll be like, oh, what did Angela have to say about that? And I'm like, oh, I didn't tell him. She's like, why? And I'm like, because I don't want to talk about it that much, because then I get more sadder. But when I actually do tell Angela what I'm feeling about X, Y, not even something about him, just like about me, that I'm feeling in my brain and don't want to let out, but I say it, literally I can feel it. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better just saying it. We don't even have to talk about it, but I just feel better that it's out there. And I think that's like a really, really, really effective method.
Yeah, I agree.
So share your feelings, people, even though it's hard. At least find your one person that you can trust and try to tell them things. And then the final one that we're going to talk about is cognitive processing therapy. So a form of cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT. Cognitive processing therapy, CPT, helps patients examine old unhelpful beliefs, reevaluate them, and replace such thoughts with new, more accurate cognitions. So in a 2021 study, researchers created a professional development workshop based on a CPT framework. Workshop participants learned about the imposter phenomenon, CPT's relevance to its treatment, and participated in conversations about how the imposter phenomenon impacted them. Sorry, I'm reading that so silly, but I'm like trying to be correct. In addition, they were given worksheets to complete between sessions that helped them explore how problematic beliefs developed, how to change their problematic beliefs, and how to identify unhelpful thinking patterns. Participants reported being better able to regulate their emotions, and that hearing peers discuss their own experiences with the imposter phenomenon helped them to identify less with their own thoughts of being an imposter. There's one thing that stuck out to me when I was reading this that I've actually talked about with my therapist lately, and just like in life, I've heard about this, and it's replacing the thought. So it's like, if you continue to tell yourself like, I'm no good at drawing, this drawing is bad, and you know that's a problem for you, and you think, okay, I really want to like try to change that about myself. Like I really want to try to change that thought in my head. You can't just stop thinking about it altogether. You can't just stop and be like, okay, I'm no longer going to think that. You have to replace it. So for instance, you could replace it very simply with, I am good at drawing. Sometimes I make drawings that I don't like, but that doesn't mean I'm bad at drawing. I am good at drawing. And so it's like replacing that bad thought with something new, whatever it is. Just try to replace it so that when you start thinking that bad thought or negative thought, you can think, wait, oh no, I'm supposed to use my positive one, and just switch them out. But I've heard that a lot, that you can't just like erase one and have nothing in the space, because it's not going to work. Like you're still going to keep thinking and thinking and thinking.
Yeah, and another negative thought could fill that blank space rather than having the positive thought to replace it with.
Yes, and I think it's hard to like think of what your positive thought is going to be. Like the example I gave is very basic, rudimentary, but we have complex thoughts. So finding the thought is the hard part, but if you can, just replacing that in your mind, I think it can help a lot.
Yeah. And like that last one, the cognitive processing therapy, it's just a certain type of therapy. And I feel like that's honestly what you're doing with your therapist, like talking about like replacing the thought. And I think it's really important to remember, like, if you get like a special different name of a procedure that you're doing at therapy, you're not broken. It's just a different way to try and process the feelings rather than just talking through them.
Yeah, so true. Everyone, try it this week. If you have a negative thought about yourself or others, this is a good one, because I think we all do, but I've definitely have negative thoughts about others sometimes. And it's like, sometimes I don't know why I'm thinking this. I'm like, oh wow, I'm thinking something really rude about this person that I know, even if I like them or don't. Why am I thinking like that? And then I think, do I have a reason? And if the answer is no, it's important to me to try to change it, because why am I thinking like that? We all have instincts, right? And you can listen to your instincts, and then you can evaluate whether or not your instincts are valid or make sense. And if they are, okay. And if they're not, you can work on like changing that. So I think it could be a really useful tool in any aspect.
Yeah, I agree. So lastly, we're going to talk about tips to overcome. So the first one is open up, just what Arika and I are doing right now. Just share your feelings with someone. It doesn't have to be a therapist. It doesn't have to be a friend. It doesn't have to be a partner. It doesn't have to be anybody.
Write it down.
Just share
journal.
with someone. Yeah. Even if sharing with yourself, like Arika said, with journaling. Next is accept positive feedback. So especially especially with people that have imposter syndrome, they tend to deny praise in any form. The next time someone compliments you, avoid denying or downplaying the comment. Instead, say thank you. Consider any truth to the positive comment and internalize that feedback. So instead of thinking, oh, they're just saying that because they want to be nice, say, no, they're saying that because it's truthful, and I'm going to internalize that, and I'm going to believe that it's the truth.
Yes. Love.
Next is keep a log. So keep a daily record of the compliments you receive and achievements that you make, and set aside a time each week to review and reflect on the positive evidence. I think that one can kind of be seen as like a little bit cringy sometimes, but I think that it's important, because if you're taking a log of like, especially with us in work, if you take a log of all the compliments that you're getting from higher ups or just other coworkers and peers in the work environment, then you can write those down at the end of the week when you're doing your final wrap up of all of your tasks for work. You can say, oh, this is the positive feedback, this is the negative feedback, and see how the positive feedback outweighs that negative stuff, and make sure when you come back on Monday, you're going to feel way more like in tune and like good with your job.
Rejuvenated almost.
Yeah. Next is embrace positive self-talk. Negativity breeds negativity.
So true. It's so, these guys, and we know these are easier said than done. Some of these I'm hearing them and I'm like, this is so hard, but it's necessary.
Yeah. And then lastly, break out of your comfort zone.
We've been talking about this.
I know. And I feel like that's the overarching theme of all of
these
personality
mic drop
episodes.
Yes. And if you guys haven't yet, you better DM us what you're doing to get out of your comfort zone, because I haven't gotten a single one personally. So hello, where are you guys?
Well, I also haven't answered, so you can yell at me too.
True. I don't even know if I've done something intentionally. I think mine have all been unintentional. You know what? One of them for me is definitely signing up for the 5K.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. We're killing it this year.
You did it.
Proud of us. Well, that was good. And I can't believe we did it in under an hour.
I know. I definitely thought when I put down all of this information and I was doing the research that it was going to take longer than an hour.
I know, but I'm happy because you guys, I don't know how you guys feel about the long episodes, so I hope you're still here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I promise we got to this point. We did ramble a little at the beginning, but we got to the point.
It's what we do. It's what we do. But yeah, I think this was an important episode, and I hope we do it again, like even next year, and just talk more about it, because it's an ongoing conversation. And it's also like, I don't want to call it newer, because obviously we talked about the women in the 70s that had this issue, but it's newer to, I think, talk about it and have so much research on it. Which is, it's interesting, and I think it's just going to keep developing, and we'll learn more about it.
I agree.
So good. Well, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed. If you've ever experienced imposter syndrome, let us know. I'm going to make that the poll today. Just like, have you or have you not experienced imposter syndrome? Especially now that you all have heard, a little bit more about it. Because I think, like Marissa was saying, the first time you hear it, you're like, huh? What does that even mean?
What?
Yeah. And then you learn about it and you're like, wait, I actually have felt like that before. I just didn't know there was a word to describe the way I'm feeling. So there is. I'll tell you right now. But anyway, we're going to wrap up because I don't want to drag on any longer. Thank you guys for listening. Try something outside of your comfort zone this week, this month, this year for sure. You guys can do it in the year. I believe in you. Yes. And we're going to see you guys next week. Next week's episode is going to be our mid-year check-in. So stay tuned. It's going to be really exciting. We're going to check in on our goals that we told you at the beginning of the year, which I'm actually excited to do that episode. It'll be fun.
I am too.
So if you don't already, you guys know you have to follow us. You have to. Like, it's not a choice, by the way.
It's not.
We're forcing you. So head over to Instagram right now on your phone as you're listening. I don't care, whenever. And look us up. It's We Run on Coffee. Very simple, very easy. And then also, if you want to email us, you can do that. WeRunOnCoffeePodcast@gmail.com. You can ask us for advice. We'd really love that. You can give us a scenario and ask if you're the asshole. With permission, send in stories about your friends or your family if you want. Like, that'd be cool. I don't care who they're from. Like, we just want to read your guys' stories and talk to you. It's so personal and fun. So,
but we can't do it unless you send us your little things.
Haven't gotten any. Just saying. I'm gonna be creepily showing up on your feed, staring at you. So please do it. Send us stuff. Anyways, let's end here because we're at an hour. Love you guys. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you later. And with that, I'm Arika.
And I'm Marissa. And we run on coffee.
Bye. Bye.